In August of 1960, Barbara and I were lined up to go in to register as freshmen on the sidewalk at Henderson. She had a yellow bow in her hair, and I thought she was very attractive. I asked her what she wanted to do when she grows up, and she said she wanted to be a missionary to Africa. And I said, I would like to take you to Africa. I also noticed her class ring, which had a bear on it, Bluff City Bears. I asked if I could see her ring, and she handed it to me. And about that time, Mr. Kuntz announced that we were to proceed into the building. I put her class ring in my pocket to ensure that I would be able to see her again. Unfortunately, I saw her the next morning at breakfast when I was sitting at a table eating breakfast with a bunch of guys, and she walked up with her hand out and said, I want my ring back. The guys thought we were breaking up, and I didn't know her name and she didn't know my name. But because I had kept her ring, we got to see each other again, and we started dating. And we dated for 2.5 years, and we got married on December the 28th of 1962. And because we were at Carson-Newman and summer mission opportunities came up, we were the first couple in the Southern Baptist Convention to be able to take a car on a mission trip.
To North Dakota.
And we drove to North Dakota. We were also allowed to haul other college students with us, and some of them were from Texas and other places. And we had a great experience doing mission work in Halleck, Minnesota. And from that on through our life, we've been able to do a lot of mission trips around the world. We're so grateful for the opportunity we had to be students at Carson-Newman.
My sophomore year and
My fifth year.
your fifth senior year, you came back.
Came back in the fall of 78 to finish up my degree. I needed 3 classes and student teaching in order to be able to complete my degree. And we were both on campus my senior year and her freshman year, but we never met. So as God would have it, one of the classes that I had to return to complete, Vicki was in the class.
That was anatomy, and I was a pre-nursing student, so I sat in the front, and Eddie sat in the back as an athlete.
Correct.
And so he had leg room.
Yes.
And so one night Professor Cloyd would leave the bones out so that we could study the bones at night. So at night we would go to the science building and go through the bones, because in lab we had to know all the bones.
Lab practical.
Yeah, and the feet bones were hard to know all the feet bones. So one night I went in and Eddie was in the lab. There was nobody else there. And I asked him if he had seen the feet bones. And so he spent like 5 minutes helping me find the feet bones.
Best line ever. I haven't seen them, but I hope you find them. So there you go.
He helped me find the feet bones. So we started talking, and then there was another classmate that I had met my freshman year, and the beginning of my sophomore year. He had a boa constrictor that he needed to get rid of. His mom said he could bring no more snakes into her house, so he gave her to me, and I kept her in the 4th floor of the science building. And he gave me the cage and everything, and so I would go get her and put her around my neck and take her down and study the bones. So Eddie liked my snake, so we would talk, because he liked the snake. He went home and told his mom, he said, there's a girl at school and I like her snake and she likes me. There you go. That's how we met.
Second floor, Daugherty Science Center. Still, I used, being employed here for all those years, I would take probably once a year and just go over there and stand and reminisce that night. What a blessing. As a young man, I was really concerned about finding someone that I could spend my life with, but it took a while, but man, the Lord gave me a little dynamo, beautiful, smart, just outgoing, just a real blessing for all these years. Been married 45 years this August, and the main thing about her, she loves Jesus, and she spreads that love for Him and for us and for our family, so just very thankful.
One of the things you have to remember is that Carson-Newman College in the fall of 1968 was bell-bottoms, Beatles, miniskirts, Vietnam War, and standing in line. Not online, but standing in line in Hope Fieldhouse. And if you were a freshman, you registered for your classes after seniors, juniors, and sophomores. That's exactly what you did. And that was evident when I got into the required Latin or language class line, because what I wanted to do was take German. And when I got to the German line after, as I said, the seniors and juniors and sophomores, if they still needed to take a class, when I got there, there was no room for me in the class. And so the only class open at that point in time was Latin class. And I said, well, I had Latin class for 2 years in Lawrence County High School in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. And I said, well, this is going to be easy. College could be fun. I might breeze through this. So guess what I did? That being the only choice, and I having to take a language class to graduate from Carson-Newman, I signed up for Latin class. Well, here's the deal. For the record, let me state this. Within the first 6 weeks of the class, I had gone through every bit of Latin that I had gone through 2 years in Lawrence County High School, and then it got hard. But that's not all of the story. Me being, 18 years old and so forth, and I one day I looked around behind me and I kind of did like this, and lo and behold, I saw this petite, good-looking young lady that was sitting behind me, and I wondered, how in the world have I not noticed her? And from there, I found out. So I forget exactly how I introduced myself to her. I forget exactly, but I found out that she too had taken Latin in high school, and that she too had wanted to take another language, and she too had had the same problem that I had. That is, when she got to the Spanish line, it was closed. And so she had to go to the Latin class. And she too had the same thought. Well, I've taken 2 years at Gate City High School in Gate City, Virginia, so guess what? I'll take Latin and it'll be a breeze. Now from there, I'll let her tell the rest of the story.
Well, having learned that we were both taking Latin by default, we have always thought that God was at work and placed us together in a class we didn't intend to take. By the middle of our second semester, we had begun to date. As it turned out, since we were on different career paths, the Latin 1 and Latin 2 classes were the only classes we had together at Carson-Newman. In December of our sophomore year, we attended a production of The Messiah at First Baptist Church. I noticed during the performance that Bob was kind of antsy, but I really didn't think too much about it. At the end of the program, Bob directed me back to the chapel, which in the old church was directly behind the sanctuary. I was truly surprised when he bent down on one knee and proposed. I said yes. We were engaged for 1.5 years and married at the end of our junior year. Bob worked at the school, and I found a job at a drugstore to help pay the way. Our first home was in a duplex that we labeled the Honeymoon Cottage, down the lane behind Tar Chevrolet, and it's still there after 55 years.
And there you are.
And that's how we started.
I guess we both kind of, the first time we met, we were both theater majors, so it was, I don't think, like, we had a few classes together, but
but the first play that we were in started really early. Like, we were doing it in front of an audience, like, 3 weeks after we started here. And so I didn't even know who he was before the play started, I don't think, because, like, it was just rehearsals. And he was the prince and I was Cinderella in the play. And so that was kind of sweet.
we like I said, we had classes together, but we didn't really start, like, talking and introducing ourselves to each other until, like, there was a lot of downtime in between scenes.
And he missed the first rehearsal. Which I would have never done. So like, everybody was like, "Where's the prince?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't think I'm gonna like this guy." Cause, like, what are you doing missing the first rehearsal? That's so, like, unprofessional. So I had never met him before, and they were like, "Yeah, he's not gonna be here." And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, not a good first impression. My car had broke down, so I wasn't able to make it. But
yeah, I was judging him really hard before I even met him. But then rehearsal started, and I was like, oh, I guess. And then we, like, hit it off pretty well. He seemed pretty shy to me, and I think what drew me to him is that I was, like, the only person that he seemed willing to talk to, which, I don't know, it's strange. But
I feel like I'm usually a quiet person, so I didn't really talk to many people. I kind of keep to myself most of the time.
And to me, I'm flattered if I can just make a friend, because I feel like it's always been kind of hard for me. So I feel like because he seemed willing to talk to me, I was like, yay, somebody to talk to. And I was obviously nervous because we just started here and I didn't know anybody. So I think I was just glad to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
The theater department's kind of little, and so there would be times when we would have to stay, even though we were actors in it, we would have to stay after rehearsal to, like, paint the set or build it or hang things or whatever else. So it would be, like, really late when we got done with things, and I lived at my dad's house off of campus, which was close enough to walk but far enough to be a little bit scary in the dark and so the one thing that I can pinpoint is that he offered to walk me home after working in the theater one night, and I think that's one thing that that kind of, like, pops up in my brain when I think about things starting to be different,
That, and then I think one thing that really elevated it is we had the opportunity during the October to start working in a haunted barn as scare actors.
Yeah.
So, and we both ended up doing that, so we spent a lot of time doing that as well.
We would carpool with another friend who already worked there and told us about it, and we were talking about, it was October, so our friend was like, oh, we should go to a haunted house, and I was like, yes, that would be so fun. He was like, no, I'll never step foot in a haunted house.
I was very much not a haunted house person.
And he said, I think it would be fun to work at one, and he goes, well, the one that I work at needs actors. And I was like, well, I'm an actor, and I had to do a lot of convincing, and I think by that point, because I was convincing him to do it, he was like, okay, maybe I'll do it. And so just, like, carpooling there with each other and our friend to work at the haunted house, I feel like absolutely has a big impact on our relationship growing.
Yeah.